Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 54 of Gains, and this one is titled Stand Tall. Just then, your dad walked out of the study and into the kitchen area, taking one look at the food and wrinkling his nose in disgust. This irked you. You had come home to spend time with them, and he didn't even have the decency to come and eat dinner with you. All he could do is stand there and judge. Are you going to eat? You asked him, baiting him into a reply so you could let rip. You had been bottling all of this up for a while now. If there's anything that Bakugou had taught you, it was to stand up and use your voice. You think I'm going to eat that? He scoffed, gesturing to everything on the table. Look at it! Your face darkened and your hands clenched around your eating utensils. Say it. I dare you to say it. You seethed, staring him directly in the eye. His lips opened and closed a few times as he looked at you. You knew he wanted to make some comment about either you or your mum, but the way that you were staring him down with confidence threw him. First off, you were looking him dead in the eye and not backing down. That was a new thing for him to witness. The past you would have been keeping your eyes downcast and your head lowered, waiting for him to say something mean so that you could burst into tears. Well, as far as what he thought. And secondly, you looked like you were about to jump up and throttle him. He'd never seen you fight before, but he figured that since you were in the hero program, you would have been taught a thing or two about how to hold your own. Deciding not to say what he wanted to say, he just grunted and turned to walk away. I've come home to see you and Mum, you said firmly to his back. The least you could do is sit down and enjoy my company. If you would prefer not to see me, then I'll make sure that I don't come back home and I'll meet Mum somewhere else. He turned and looked at you. Excuse me? He replied with surprise. I'm not being rude, I'm stating the truth. You haven't even welcomed me home since I've been here, you said, standing up. I've been working hard to... He started. Dad, respectfully, I need you to answer me. You haven't spoken properly to me since I got home. Is there a reason? You asked. Because I can leave if you don't feel comfortable with me being here. He was floored. Who was this yin? Certainly not the same one who he'd sent off to UA a month or so ago. Welcome home. It's nice to see you again, he finally said, stiffly, but he still said it. Would you at least join us at the table, even if you're not going to eat? You offered, gesturing to the seat beside you. He hesitated for a second and then walked over and sat down. So, work's been busy? You asked, feeling very much in control of the situation. Yes, it has, he replied stiffly, but trying to relax into the conversation. I'm sorry to hear it. I'm assuming it's causing a bit of stress, you said, taking a small mouthful of the delicious curry. Yes, he sighed, and that sigh told you everything. It's not like he wanted to be a horrible person. He just had a lot of weight on his shoulders right now with work and possibly your mum's health, and instead of dealing with it properly, he was just storing it up as anger and letting fly at your mum, and what used to be you too, but you weren't playing his games anymore. Sorry, Dad, you said softly, reaching across to place a hand on his leg, and you watched his face soften, and then he stood abruptly and made a hasty apology before rushing off to the study. I think he might have needed to cry, you thought sadly, staring off in the direction that he had gone. He doesn't even come to bed anymore, your mum said sadly, shoving more food into her mouth. It's like we only see each other in passing. I'm sorry, Mum, you said sadly. Is he okay? Are you okay? Your mum shook her head. Yin, honey, I don't want to burden you with things that concern your father and I, but there's a lot of room for improvement, she sighed. But don't you worry, we both love you very much, and I'm so proud of you for everything you've achieved up until this point, she said, giving you an endearing smile and reaching across the table to hold your hand for a second. You gave her a warm smile back. I love you, Mum, you said softly. That night, you stayed in the spare room and felt sick. All that greasy food was catching up to you and your head swam with nausea. I don't feel good at all, you thought as you rolled over in bed and felt the food slosh from one side to the other. This is going to sound like heresy, but I really want something healthy right now to cover all that terrible food I just had. The next morning you were up early. You wanted to spend as much time with your mum as possible before heading back to school. You got out of bed and grabbed your school uniform to get changed into, then opened the door and walked out. All was quiet in the house, and this surprised you. Usually Mum would be in the kitchen by now, moving about and asking what you wanted to have for breakfast so she could make it. You looked at the time on your phone. It read 6:50 a.m, and that was maybe a little bit early, but you still thought that she'd be up by then. Deciding to help, you walked to the fridge to see what food there was there and work out some kind of breakfast menu. If Mum wasn't up and cooking already, then maybe you could cook for her. There was a ton of half-finished takeaway containers in there, along with a million Coke cans, but not much else. Are there any eggs? I could do some scrambled eggs, you thought as you bobbed your head up and down, looking between the shelves. You looked around for quite a while, finally finding some eggs in a carton way down the back of the fridge, but you weren't sure how long they'd been there, so you pulled them out to read the use-by date on the side of the carton. It had expired earlier this year, around the same time that you had started at UA. Oh, Mum sounds like she's losing it a bit. Stay tuned for chapter 55 coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.